They dragged me from the driver's seat right there in my own driveway, bruises blooming hotter than Aunt Brenda's cackling laughter. Mom said, "Stop pretending," while rifling through my purse for the safe deposit keys. Dad blocked the doorbell camera with his bulk. I didn't scream. I counted invoices, wire transfers, forged signatures. The evidence that would shred the Callahan family tree down to its rotten roots. Tonight. They think they'll get Grandma's house. Tomorrow. I'm taking back everything, including my voice. My name is Ava Callahan, and I should have known something was wrong when both my parents' cars sat in my driveway at 9:45 p.m. on a Tuesday. The engine of my Honda still hummed as I reached for the gear shift, but Mom's face appeared at my window first, that practiced smile that never touched her eyes. "Sweetheart, we need to talk." Behind her, Dad's silhouette blocked the motion sensor light, and Aunt Brenda's phone glowed as she held it up, recording everything. Family intervention time. Brenda sang out, her voice carrying across the quiet street. The prodigal daughter returns to reality. Mom yanked my door open before I could lock it. Dad's hands found my left arm while Mom grabbed the right, and together they hauled me out. My phone clattered onto the concrete, screen cracking against the driveway I'd paid to resurface last spring. "Stop pretending you're fine," Mom hissed, her fingers digging into my purse. "We know about the safe deposit box. Where are Grandma Ruth's keys?" The doorbell camera should have been recording, but Dad's back covered it completely. No accident there. What they didn't know was that Noah Hale, the college kid across the street, had started filming from his front steps the moment Brenda's live stream laugh pierced the neighborhood peace. "She thinks she's too good for family," Brenda narrated to her phone, to whoever watched her stories at this hour. "Private consultant, fancy apartment downtown, won't even help her parents with expenses." Mom's hands found my wallet, dumping credit cards and receipts onto the hood of my car. The joint account pin, Ava. The temporary power of attorney papers. Don't make this harder. I stayed silent, cataloging every word. The joint account they'd opened for emergencies 3 months ago. The power of attorney I'd never signed. Each revelation another piece of their puzzle clicking into place. Dad's grip tightened when I didn't respond. "Your mother's been covering for you long enough. The whole church knows about your episodes. Dr. Morrison says, Dr. Morrison hasn't been my doctor since high school," I said, my first words since arriving home. Brenda cackled again. "Still lying. This is exactly why Leonard and Marjorie need guardianship. For her own good. Everyone. For her own good." They released me as suddenly as they'd grabbed me, Mom clutching a set of keys from my purse. Not Grandma's safe deposit keys. Just my gym locker spares, but she didn't know that. Dad picked up my phone, examined the cracked screen, then tossed it back toward me. It landed in the garden bed. "We're filing tomorrow," Mom announced, loud enough for any listening neighbors. "Emergency guardianship. For your own protection. Sweetheart. The house in Ruston Falls isn't yours to hide," Dad added. "Neither is downtown apartment you're squatting in." Brenda ended her live stream with a flourish. "Family meeting this weekend at Grange Hall. Everyone's invited to witness the healing." They walked to their cars as if they'd just finished a pleasant visit. Mom called back over her shoulder. "Think about what's best. Ava, stop this charade before someone gets hurt." 3 car doors slammed. 3 engines started. 3 sets of taillights disappeared down Maple Street, leaving me standing in my own driveway with purse contents scattered, phone in the mulch, and bruises already forming under my jacket sleeves. I waited until they turned the corner before retrieving my phone. Cracked but functional. 1 missed call from Sloan Archer, my law school friend who'd specialized in family law while I'd dropped out to care for Grandma Ruth. I hit callback. Sloan. They just played their hand. I walked to Noah's steps where he still stood, his phone extended. "And we have witnesses." The bank statements spread across Sloan's conference table told a story I'd been too trusting to see. 6 months of Alder Care Services withdrawals, each one precisely under the reporting threshold. $5,000 here, $4,500 there, all from the joint account Mom insisted we open for Grandma Ruth's medical expenses. "This company doesn't exist," Sloan said, pulling up the Wyoming business registry on her laptop. "The LLC was dissolved 2 years ago, but someone's still using the name." I traced the withdrawal pattern with my finger. Every transfer happened the day after my consulting payments hit the account, like clockwork. "Look at this." Sloan highlighted another document. "Legal consultation fees to Morrison and Associates, except Dr. Morrison is a general practitioner, not a lawyer. These invoices are forgeries." The next folder made my stomach turn. A guardianship petition filed 2 weeks ago, before they'd even confronted me. Aunt Brenda's signature as a supporting witness, claiming I'd been exhibiting erratic behavior and refusing necessary medical treatment. Dr. Morrison's letterhead probably stolen attached to a psychological evaluation I'd never undergone. "They changed your vehicle registration address last month," Sloan continued. "Your Honda's officially registered to your parents' house now. And this credit card," she held up a statement, "the emergency card they added to your account, $23,000 in charges, spa treatments, restaurant bills, online shopping, all traced to Brenda's address." I pulled up my phone, searching through old text messages. The family group chat Brenda managed told its own story. Carefully crafted messages about my struggles and their Christian duty to help. Screenshots I'd ignored of me looking tired after double shifts, captioned with concerns about my deteriorating condition. "The farmhouse," I said suddenly. "They're after Grandma Ruth's farmhouse." Sloan nodded. "Current market value is $1.2 million. Your apartment's worth another $400,000. If they get guardianship, they control everything." I stood, pacing to the window. "This isn't new. When I was 16, they took my college fund for safekeeping. When I got my first job, they needed me to co-sign their mortgage refinance. Every gift came with strings joint ownership, shared passwords, family access. The pattern's clear," Sloan agreed. "Financial abuse escalating to physical confrontation. But Ava, the community perception, I know." Everyone at Ruston Falls Methodist knew the Callahans. Pillars of the community, prayer circle leaders, volunteer coordinators. Mom ran the church food bank. Dad served on the town council. Who'd believe their daughter over them? My phone buzzed. Lila Torres from First Wyoming Bank. Urgent large withdrawal attempt on Ruth Callahan estate account. Blocked pending verification. Call immediately. "They're moving fast," I told Sloan. "Trying to drain Grandma's account. Then we move faster." Sloan pulled out fresh forms. "Asset protection orders, restraining order petition, financial abuse report. We file everything tomorrow morning at 8 sharp. But Ava," she looked at me seriously, "once we start this, they'll escalate. The community will turn on you. Your business might suffer." I thought about the bruises under my sleeves, the years of help that left me drowning, the smile on Brenda's face as she live-streamed my humiliation. "My business is already suffering. 3 clients canceled this week after Mom called them concerned about my mental state." I signed the first form. "What else do we need?" "Evidence. The video from Noah, your doorbell camera footage if you have it, medical documentation of the bruises, every financial record you can access." Sloan started a checklist. "And Ava change every password, every lock, every point of access they might have." Tonight, I thought about the emergency guardianship petition, Mom's fingers in my purse, Dad blocking the camera like he'd practiced the move. "They've been planning this for months," I said. "Years," Sloan corrected, reviewing the pattern of transactions. "This goes back years." "You just finally gave them a timeline Grandma Ruth passed 8 months ago. Estate settlement should be final soon." The room felt smaller suddenly, the weight of orchestrated betrayal pressing down. But underneath the hurt, something harder crystallized. They'd taught me to be quiet, accommodating, grateful. They'd counted on it. They'd counted wrong. Deputy Cole Reddick examined my bruised arms under the station's fluorescent lights, his camera clicking with each angle. "These are defensive wounds. he said quietly, the patterns consistent with being forcibly removed from a vehicle. My parents will say they were helping me, I replied, that I was having an episode. Maybe, but the video from your neighbor shows otherwise. Cole pulled up Noah's footage on his tablet. Clear assault. Your mother going through your purse without permission is theft. Technically, your father deliberately obstructing the doorbell camera shows consciousness of guilt. He handed me the incident report. File this, today, before they file their version. At First Wyoming Bank, Lila Torres had already pulled everything. Your grandmother's estate account showed 3 attempted access attempts this morning, all declined. Someone tried to use an old POA document power of attorney that expired when Ruth passed. Can you freeze everything? Already done. But Ava, there's more. Lila lowered her voice, though her office door was closed. Your mother came in yesterday, tried to sweet-talk Marcus at the commercial desk about family financial planning, asked about processes for guardianship accounts. She slid a folder across. I shouldn't show you this, but inside were photocopies of bank documents with my signature, except I'd never signed them. Your parents opened a business account for Callahan Family Enterprises 6 months ago. You're listed as primary owner. I know, the signature's wrong. See the loop on the A. You make yours tight. This is loose, practiced, but not perfect. Lila had been processing my deposits for 5 years. She knew my signature better than I did. They've been running expenses through it. If anyone investigated your finances for mental competency, it would look like I'm irresponsible. The setup was intricate. What do? New accounts. Everything fresh. Different bank if needed. Transfer your legitimate funds immediately. And Ava. Lila glanced toward the lobby. Your Aunt Brenda was here an hour ago, asking questions about joint account access rights. Back at Sloane's office, we assembled our team on speakerphone, a forensic accountant, a digital security specialist, and surprisingly, Reverend Michael Patterson from First Presbyterian Ruston Falls rival church. The Callahans have run that Methodist congregation like a personal kingdom for years. Rev, Patterson said, I've had 3 families come to me with similar stories. Loans that became gifts, volunteer work that became unpaid labor, prayer circles that became public shamings. Would any of them testify? Sloane asked. Possibly. The Hendricks lost their flower shop after Leonard advised them to refinance with his buddy's predatory lending company. Sarah Hendrick might speak up. The digital security specialist, Marcus, worked from his laptop while we talked. Your parents have been sloppy online. Brenda's live stream from last night. She didn't realize it saved to her public stories. I've archived it. Also found 7 other videos where she mentions the guardianship plan. Time-stamped, geotagged, all admissible. What about my apartment? I asked. Change the locks today. Sloane advised. Security system with cameras. Document everything. And Ava, do you have the farmhouse deed? In Grandma's safe deposit box, the one they were trying to get keys for? Good. We'll petition to have it sealed by the court tomorrow. Sloane made another note. What about the will? I hesitated. There are 2 versions. The official one filed with probate, and another one I found in her desk. Handwritten. Dated a week before she died. What's the difference? The filed version splits everything between me and my parents. The handwritten one, I pulled the photocopy from my bag. Everything to me, with a note, they've taken enough. The room went quiet. That's a nuclear bomb, Sloane said finally. If it's legitimate. Grandma Ruth's handwriting, her nurse, Colleen, witnessed it. She told me Grandma was terrified they'd manipulate her estate. I touched the paper. She made me promise to protect what she'd built. Then we protect it, Cole said. I'll increase patrols near your apartment. Welfare checks on record, establishing your fine. I'll flag all accounts, Lila added. Any suspicious activity gets reported immediately. And I'll start spreading different stories at Ministerial Alliance meetings. Rev. Patterson offered. The truth has a way of traveling. Marcus looked up from his laptop. Your mother just posted in the church Facebook group. Emergency prayer meeting for family crisis. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. They were accelerating their timeline, trying to establish their narrative before I could respond. But now I wasn't alone. Let them pray, I said. We'll be filing papers while they're performing for their audience. The emergency guardianship petition hit the court docket Thursday morning. By noon, half of Ruston Falls knew. By 3 p.m., my phone wouldn't stop buzzing with concerned messages that weren't actually concerned at all. Praying for your recovery, dear. Your parents are saints for dealing with this. Maybe you should listen to them. Mrs. Elmwood from the flower shop was the only one who broke pattern. Your mother ordered funeral arrangements yesterday. Paid cash. Strange, since nobody's died. That chilled me more than the guardianship filing. Sloan called while I was changing my apartment locks. They filed for expedited hearing based on immediate danger to financial assets. Judge Harmon scheduled it for Monday. 4 days. Your parents' attorney is Bradley Morrison, the doctor's cousin. He's arguing you're in acute crisis, citing the confrontation Tuesday night as evidence of violent tendencies. I dropped the screwdriver. They're saying I was violent. The live stream Brenda deleted. She edited it first. The version they submitted to court starts with you aggressively resisting help. Everything before that is gone. Thank God for Noah's full video. But would one college student's testimony outweigh the Callahan family reputation? My client cancellations accelerated. North River Dynamics pulled my contract pending resolution of personal matters. Translation, my mother had called their HR department. 3 smaller clients followed suit. My monthly income dropped by 70% in 36 hours. Friday brought new developments. Mom showed up at my apartment building at 6 a.m., telling my landlord she was checking on her troubled daughter. Mr. Peterson called me immediately. She had paperwork. Ava, official-looking documents about being your emergency contact. I'm 32 years old. Mr. Peterson, I don't need an emergency contact. That's what I told her, but she mentioned liability issues, property damage risks if you're not stable. The threat was clear play along or lose your apartment. That afternoon, Aunt Brenda's campaign intensified. She posted in 7 local Facebook groups about supporting families dealing with mental health crises. Each post featured old photos of me looking tired or upset, carefully curated to support their narrative. The comment sections filled with prayer hands emojis and promises to lift the Callahans up during this difficult time. Then came the church intervention. I arrived at Ruston Falls Methodist at 6:45 p.m., expecting to observe their prayer meeting from outside. Instead, I found half the congregation gathered, with chairs arranged in a circle, center stage an empty chair with my name literally taped to it. She won't come, I heard Mom telling the crowd. Too proud, too sick to accept help. I walked in. The room shifted, whispers rippling through the assembled crowd. Mom's face went white, then red, then settled into practiced concern. Sweetheart, you came. Wouldn't miss it, I said, taking my designated seat. What followed was 90 minutes of orchestrated character assassination disguised as Christian concern. Mom tearfully recounted my deteriorating behavior. Dad cited financial irregularities he'd discovered in the family business accounts, the ones they'd forged my signature to create. Brenda performed a dramatic reading of text messages I'd sent her, stripped of context to sound unhinged. Just last week, Brenda announced. She texted me at 2 a.m. saying, I know what you're doing. Paranoid delusions, clear as day. I stayed silent until Pastor Williams asked if I wanted to share. Yes, I said, standing. I'd like to share that Alder Care Services, the company charging Grandma's account for home health services, was dissolved 2 years ago. I'd like to share that the financial irregularities Dad mentioned are in accounts I never opened. And Brenda, that text. You just posted photos from Mom's birthday dinner at the Riverside Club paid for with my credit card you weren't authorized to use. The room erupted. Mom started crying huge, theatrical sobs. Dad stood up, finger pointing. So, this is exactly the behavior we're talking about. Wild accusations, paranoid fantasies. Then you won't mind if forensic accountants review everything, I said calmly. Court's orders. Monday morning. Brenda's phone appeared. She's having an episode, everyone can see it. But something had shifted. Sarah Hendrick whispered to her husband, Rev, Patterson's wife, visiting from First Presbyterian, took notes in the back row. Old Mrs. Chin, who'd lost her husband's memorial fund to a Callahan-recommended investment opportunity, stood up and walked out. The family reunion dinner tomorrow at Grange Hall, Mom announced loudly, trying to regain control. Everyone's invited. We'll be signing papers to protect Ava's assets until she's better. What papers? I asked. The ones that ensure family takes care of family. Dad replied. They'd just announced their plan to steal everything in front of 60 witnesses. The arrogance of it, the assumption that community pressure would break me, was breathtaking. I'll be there, I said. With my attorney. Saturday morning. Sloane's conference room looked like a war room. Marcus had 3 laptops running, uploading evidence to cloud servers with encrypted backups. Lila brought bank records dating back 5 years. Deputy Cole delivered sworn affidavits from 3 neighbors who'd witnessed previous interventions at my childhood home. The LED display board is ready, Marcus announced. Portable, battery-powered, connects to my phone. I can update it in real time. Legal, I asked. Wyoming's one-party consent state. Sloane confirmed. You can record. As for the display, Grange Hall is a public venue. First Amendment protects your right to present information. We'd assembled a timeline that would destroy them. Every forged document, every fraudulent transfer, every manipulated photograph organized chronologically to show escalating abuse spanning 15 years. Local news, I suggested, already interested. Sloane smiled. Turns out, local families' financial elder abuse exposed at public dinner makes great weekend content. Channel 7's senior reporter, Janet Mills, lost her aunt to similar scheme last year. Rev Patterson called. Words spread about last night's prayer meeting. Several families want to share their Callahan experiences. The Hendricks, the Nguyens, and surprisingly, Dr. Morrison's ex-wife. She has recordings of him and your parents discussing medical documentation strategies. Get them all on record, Sloane instructed. Notarized if possible. I spent the afternoon preparing my statement 1 page, legally vetted, devastating in its precision. No emotion, just facts. Each sentence a nail in their reputation's coffin. At 4 p.m., an unexpected ally emerged. Colleen, Grandma Ruth's former nurse, appeared at Sloane's office with a box. Ruth knew this would happen, she said, setting it on the table. She documented everything, every conversation where they pressured her for money, every manipulated visit where they brought paperwork, every threat disguised as concern. Inside handwritten notes in Grandma's shaky script, dated and detailed, USB drives with recorded conversations, photos of Mom going through Grandma's desk while she slept, a video of Dad telling Grandma she'd die alone in a state facility if she didn't add them to her accounts. The handwritten will, Colleen continued, was her final act of defiance. She made me promise to wait, to let you discover it yourself so they couldn't claim I influenced you. Will you testify? Gladly. Ruth was terrified of them, but more terrified of leaving you unprotected. Colleen pulled out one last item, a sealed envelope. She said to give you this when you were ready to fight back. Inside, Grandma's final message. They took my peace, but not my spirit. Don't let them take yours. The farmhouse deed has a codicil check the county recorder, not our copies. I love you. Stand tall. Sloane immediately called the county recorder's office. After 20 minutes on hold, her face changed. The codicil. Ruth filed it separately 2 years ago. The farmhouse can only transfer to blood relatives who haven't been convicted of elder abuse, fraud, or theft. She looked at me. She knew. She planned for this. That evening, I stood before my bathroom mirror, practicing my statement. No tremor in my voice. No tears threatening. Tomorrow, They expected me to buckle under community pressure, sign away my inheritance to keep their secrets. Instead, I would detonate every secret they'd built their reputation on. My phone buzzed. Noah, set up extra cameras facing Grange Hall. Whatever happens tomorrow, it's all being recorded. Then, Marcus. Anonymous tip your mom withdrew $8,000 cash yesterday. Bribes for supporters to attend. Cole, extra patrols scheduled. Judge Harmon will be at his office, ready to issue emergency orders if needed. Finally, Sloan. Janet Mills confirmed. She'll be there with a camera crew, filming a community documentary. Your parents can't object without looking suspicious. I looked at my reflection one more time. The bruises had yellowed but were still visible. Good. Let them see what their love looked like painted on skin. Stop pretending, Mom had said Tuesday night. Tomorrow. I'd show them what happened when I stopped pretending everything was fine. When I stopped protecting them from consequences. When I stopped being the grateful daughter they'd invented and became the woman Grandma Ruth knew I could be. The LED board sat by my door. Dark for now, but ready to light up with truth. The statement lay in my bag, notarized and copied. The evidence waited on encrypted servers. Let them think tomorrow was their victory dinner. I knew better. Tomorrow was their funeral for their reputation, their schemes, their hold over me. And I'd be the one delivering the eulogy. Grange Hall hummed with anticipation when I arrived at 6:30 p.m., every folding chair occupied, extra rows added along the walls. Mom had outdone herself white tablecloths, flower centerpieces, even a microphone at the front podium. The family dinner had become a community theater. Aunt Brenda spotted me first, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. The star arrives, everyone. Ava's here. Applause rippled through the room, some genuine, most obligatory. I counted faces: church members, town council, local business owners Mom had cultivated for decades. In the back corner, Janet Mills and her camera operator blended with the crowd, their equipment disguised as phone recordings. Sweetheart. Mom rushed forward, arms wide for the performance hug I sidestepped. Where should I sit? Right here. Dad pointed to a chair at the front table, facing the crowd like a defendant. Papers already waited at my place, setting property transfer documents, medical power of attorney, financial guardianship agreements. A pen lay across them, silver and substantial. I set down my bag, carefully positioning it so Marcus could activate the LED board when ready. The weight of hidden recorders and backup drives felt like armor. Before we eat, Mom announced into the microphone, we want to address the blessing of family unity during challenging times. She launched into a speech I'd heard variations of my whole life. Family sacrifice, Christian duty, the parable of the prodigal son, twisted to make me the ungrateful child needing salvation. The crowd murmured agreement at practiced intervals. Then Brenda took the mic, pulling out her phone. I want to share something difficult. She played the edited live stream, me resisting their help, my voice raised, their patient attempts to comfort me. This breaks our hearts, but mental health crises require family intervention. Several people gasped. Mrs. Patterson whispered to her husband. The narrative was setting like concrete, and they hadn't even served dinner yet. Dad's turn. The financial irregularities we've discovered are troubling. Accounts we didn't know existed. Debts hidden from family. Just yesterday, we learned about liens against Ruth's farmhouse. Lies. Every word a calculated lie. That's why. Mom resumed control. We've prepared these documents to protect Ava's assets while she gets help. Dr. Morrison has agreed to oversee her treatment personally. Bradley Morrison stood up from the crowd, nodding gravely. Inpatient evaluation might be necessary. They were threatening institutionalization. In front of everyone. I stood. The room fell silent. May I? I gestured to the microphone. Mom hesitated, but refusing would crack their veneer of concern. She handed it over. Thank you all for coming. My voice carried steady and clear. Since my family values transparency, I'd like to share some facts. I nodded to Marcus. The LED board blazed to life, displaying the first bank statement. Alder Care Services, the company billing my grandmother's estate, was dissolved in 2022. These charges are fraudulent. The display switched. This business account in my name, forged signatures. Security footage from the bank confirms I was in Denver when it was supposedly opened. Another switch. Noah's video filled the screen the full version. My parents dragging me from my car. Brenda laughing. Dad blocking the camera. The audio crystal clear. The joint account PIN. The temporary power of attorney papers. Gasps erupted. Real ones this time. The liens Dad mentioned, next slide. Filed by them, yesterday, using fabricated documentation. Sss, Mom lunged for the microphone. I stepped back, continuing. These are the real papers. I pulled out my folder. Cease and desist orders. Fraud charges filed with the state attorney. Elder abuse investigation regarding Ruth Callahan's final years. She's having an episode, Brenda shrieked. Someone help her. But the crowd had shifted. Sarah Hendricks stood up. Show the part about Dr. Morrison. I clicked to the audio file. Dr. Morrison's voice, clear as day. Just say she refused medication. I'll backdate the prescription records. Bradley Morrison went pale. His cousin bolted for the door, stopped by Deputy Cole's entrance. Evening, folks, Cole announced. We've received multiple complaints of fraud, harassment, and false imprisonment. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan, Ms. Whitlow, you'll need to come with me. This is ridiculous. Dad stood, knocking his chair over. She's sick. Everyone can see what I see. Judge Harmon stepped from behind Cole. Is probable cause for criminal investigation. The emergency guardianship petition is denied. Reversed, actually. Ms. Ava Callahan, I'm granting your protective order immediately. Mom's mask finally shattered. You ungrateful little stop! I held up Grandma's letter. Ruth's final words. They took my peace, but not my spirit. You took everything else, money, trust, years of my life, but not this. Not anymore. The LED board displayed one final image, Grandma Ruth's handwritten will. Clear and damning. Everything to me. Nothing to them. The farmhouse's codicil, I announced to the silent room. It can only transfer to family members without fraud convictions. Guess we'll see how that plays out. Brenda grabbed for her phone, trying to stream, but Marcus had already jammed the hall's Wi-Fi. No controlling this narrative now. As Cole placed handcuffs on my father, Mom turned to the crowd, tears streaming. Please, you know us. We're good people. But the crowd was dispersing, uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact. Their pillars of community had crumbled in 20 minutes of truth. I walked to the microphone one last time. The reunion dinner's over, but if anyone has similar experiences with financial manipulation, Sloan Archer is accepting consultations pro bono. 3 hands raised immediately. The parking lot emptied slowly, clusters of people dissecting what they'd witnessed. I loaded the LED board into my trunk, hands steady despite the adrenaline crash threatening. Janet Mills approached with her cameraman. That was extraordinary. Can we get a statement? Later. There's something else about to happen. Because Brenda hadn't left. She stood by her white Lexus, mascara streaking her cheeks, phone clutched like a weapon. You destroyed them, she hissed as I approached my car. Your own parents. They destroyed themselves. I just provided the evidence. She moved closer, blocking my driver's door. The parking lot lights caught her face, desperation replacing her usual smugness. We're family, Ava. Family forgives. I'll talk to them, smooth things over. We can work something out. Like you worked things out with the Hendricks the Nguyens Mrs. Rodriguez when her husband died. Her face went white. You don't know anything about $23,000 in spa charges on my credit card. I have every receipt, Brenda. Every single one. She changed tactics, voice softening. Look, I have kids. They need their mother. You wouldn't want them to suffer because of misunderstandings. Misunderstandings. I pulled up my phone, showing the screenshot. This text from Thursday. We'll have everything by Monday. The little bitch won't know what hit her. That's not a misunderstanding. That's conspiracy. A police cruiser pulled into the lot. Not Cole Officer Janet Reeves, who'd gone to school with me. Ms. Whitlow, you need to come with me. For what? Brenda's voice pitched higher. Failure to appear. You were supposed to report to the station an hour ago for booking. Brenda's carefully maintained composure finally cracked completely. She swung at me, her manicured nails catching my collar before Janet pulled her back. Assault! Brenda screamed. She assaulted me first. But Noah's camera caught it all from across the lot, where he'd been waiting in his car, always recording. My unexpected guardian angel. Ma'am, turn around. Janet's handcuffs clicked with finality. As she placed Brenda in the cruiser, something fell from my aunt's pocket, a key ring. I recognized it immediately. Grandma Ruth's missing keys, the ones to her filing cabinet where she'd kept bonds and certificates. Those are mine, I told Janet, picking them up. Stolen from my grandmother's house. Add theft to the charges, Janet noted. Brenda's last words before the door closed. Your mother's right. You're sick. No one will ever. The slam cut her off. I stood in the emptying lot, keys heavy in my hand, behind me, footsteps. I tensed, but it was Lila Torres. Ava, the bank's fraud department wants to meet Monday morning. They're freezing all accounts connected to your parents, including some we didn't know about. How many? 7 so far, 3 offshore. Offshore. They'd been planning to run. My phone buzzed. Sloan. Judge issued search warrant for your parents' house. They found a storage unit receipt. Need you here. The storage unit revealed the depth of their scheme. Boxes of fabricated medical records, some dating back to my teenage years. Prescriptions for medications I'd never taken. Psychological evaluations from doctors I'd never seen. They'd been building this false narrative for over a decade, but also bonds in my name they'd cashed, certificates of deposit they'd forged. The life insurance policy on Grandma Ruth with themselves as beneficiaries purchased 2 months before she died. This is attempted murder evidence, Cole said quietly, photographing the policy. We need to exhume Ruth. My knees nearly buckled. You think I think we need to be thorough. Back in the parking lot, my Honda sat alone under the fluorescent lights. I climbed in, locked the doors, and finally let myself shake. Not from fear or sadness, but from the terrible clarity of it all. They'd never loved me. I'd been a resource to exploit, a fund to drain, a scapegoat for their crimes. Every hug had been a manipulation. Every "we're family" a battle cry before another theft. My phone lit up with messages. Support from unexpected sources. Job offers from companies impressed by my courage. Sarah Hendrick asking if I'd help her family recover what they'd lost. But the one that stopped me cold came from an unknown number. Your grandmother knew. She fought them until the end. Check the codicil again. There's more. Colleen. I started the engine. Grandma's keys still clutched in my fist. Tomorrow would bring lawyers, investigations, probably more revelations. But tonight, I drove home to my apartment locks changed, security system armed, finally safe. As I pulled out, dashboard camera recording like always. I said the words I'd held back in the hall. Stop pretending, Mom said. Fine. I'll stop pretending you ever loved me. Monday morning arrived with search warrants, exhumation orders, and federal investigators. The life insurance policy on Grandma Ruth had triggered flags at the FBI's Elder Fraud Division. Suddenly, my family drama became a federal case. The codicil Colleen mentioned hidden in subsection 12. If any beneficiary was convicted of fraud, elder abuse, or theft, their portion defaulted to the Wyoming Senior Protection Fund, but only after compensating all verified victims of their previous schemes. Every family they'd destroyed would be made whole. From my parents' own inheritance. The arraignment was swift. Mom in her orange jumpsuit, no makeup to hide behind. Dad, shoulders slumped, His town council reputation evaporated. Brenda, still defiant, claiming persecution until the judge read the charges: conspiracy, fraud, elder abuse, attempted unlawful guardianship, theft exceeding $100,000. How do you plead? Their court-appointed attorneys answered, not guilty, but the evidence was insurmountable. Noah's videos, bank records, the storage unit revelations, 14 families coming forward with similar stories. Dr. Morrison flipping immediately, providing recorded conversations spanning 3 years. The trial date was set for February. They'd spend it in custody, bail denied due to the offshore accounts suggesting flight risk. As we left the courthouse, Mom turned to me one last time. No tears now, just naked hatred. I wish you'd never been born. I know, I replied. You've been showing me that my whole life. The farmhouse felt different when I finally returned. Grandma Ruth's presence somehow stronger, as if she'd been waiting for me to reclaim it. In her bedroom, I found one last gift, a letter taped under her jewelry box. My dear Ava, if you're reading this, you've won. They never understood that strength isn't about taking from others but protecting what matters. The farmhouse is yours, as is my faith in you. Live freely. Love honestly. Never apologize for surviving. Grandma Ruth. 6 months later, the convictions came down. Guilty on all counts. Mom got 12 years, Dad 10, Brenda 8. The judge called it the most systematic case of family financial abuse he'd seen in 30 years of jurisprudence. Their assets liquidated quickly. The Hendricks got their flower shop back. The Nguyens recovered their father's memorial fund. Mrs. Rodriguez received compensation plus interest. 14 families made whole from the people who'd pretended to be pillars of the community. I kept the farmhouse in my apartment, started my consulting firm again with clients who respected courage over reputation. Even hired Noah part-time. Turns out the kid who'd filmed everything had a talent for digital security. Rev. Patterson asked me to speak at his church about recognizing financial abuse. The room was packed. Afterward, a young woman approached, shaking. My parents are doing this to me. Right now, taking everything while saying it's love. I handed her Sloane's card. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. That became my mission. The farmhouse transformed into a resource center for financial abuse victims. Sloane provided legal counsel. Lila taught financial literacy. Cole offered protection services. We called it Ruth's Haven. The last time I saw my parents was at sentencing. They'd aged years in months. Their carefully maintained facades crumbled. Mom wept as the bailiff led her away. Dad didn't look at me once. Brenda screamed about appeals until the door closed. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No regret. Just free. Standing in my driveway now, the same spot where they'd dragged me from my car, I can breathe. The doorbell camera records only peaceful moments. My bank accounts remain mine alone. The bruises faded, but the lessons stayed sharp. Sometimes family is the storm you survive, not the shelter you seek. Grandma Ruth knew. She'd spent her final years building me an escape route disguised as an inheritance. Every document, every codicil, every hidden note, breadcrumbs leading away from their trap. I think about that Tuesday night. Mom's words echoing, "Stop pretending." I did stop. Stopped pretending their abuse was love. Stopped protecting their reputation over my safety. Stopped shrinking to fit the space they'd assigned me. The dashboard camera in my new car, I kept the Honda. Battle scars and all captures different scenes now. Client meetings where I'm respected. Dinners with chosen family who celebrate my success. Quiet drives past the Grange Hall, where my truth finally got its hearing. My name is Ava Callahan. I'm 33 now. I survived my family, and in the rearview mirror, getting smaller with each mile forward. I can see the prison where they're serving time for crimes they never thought would be called what they were. I don't look back often. There's too much ahead worth seeing. The farmhouse porch light stays on now, not for them, but for the next person running from family who confused possession with love. "Stop pretending," she said. I did, and it saved my life. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Your experiences and perspectives matter, and together we can shed light on these important issues. Until next time, stay strong and never be afraid to speak your truth.